the Roadshow Podcast.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done this.
Long time.
About 18 months, I think we were talking about before.
Probably.
About that?
You know, I actually might try and find it. Here it is. So it was November 2022.
Oh, shit. Yeah, so about 18 months.
Yeah.
Maybe even more. 20 months. No, we're not close to November. It's about 18. My maths is fucking terrible.
A lot's happened since then, I guess, for both of us. I mean, look at this place. It's so cool.
It's different, right?
I love it. What's the funniest thing about it is that it's just like in a corporate office.
Yes.
And there's just like a bunch of secretaries sitting around here, sitting down, typing away.
It's very strange.
And then you walk up the stairs, and you're like, oh, it's a bunch of like segmented modular offices. And then you see this door, and then you walk in here, and then there's just guitars on the wall, wood panels, a massive guitar amplifier with 4 vacuum tubes inside of it.
Yeah.
This cool sign with the lights, curtains. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a little bit, probably a little bit too corporate for my liking.
Right.
But it'll do until we get the compound sorted, so we're going to move towards that.
Compound V.
Yeah, compound R.
Oh, yeah?
That's like compound rate, really. Don't do that.
We don't want to compound those things.
No, never. But yeah, I'm looking at probably having kind of similar to what Rogan's got.
Yeah.
You know, just a little getaway. I'm going to have a little bit different because I'm more music-centric where he's more comedy-centric.
Yeah.
Which is I'll have a recording studio and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm even thinking like a hotel room kind of thing set up in it.
All right.
So like if people want to stay there instead of, and like you can just have a home base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Do you get my sponsorship and stuff for this?
Currently, I dropped most of my sponsors at the start of this year just because I wanted a fresh start and see if I could do it off my own back.
Right.
And I didn't like what people were saying. Like they're like, oh, can you cut that bit out or cut this out? I'm like,
Oh, I
no,
see. Yeah.
I cannot.
Yeah.
So it looks like we have to go 2 different directions.
That's a tricky thing about the commercialization of podcasting is that it started as this kind of niche thing, which has now turned into mass media, right? So now sponsors are actively looking for up-and-coming podcasters to sponsor because it's a way for them to generate ad revenue and ultimately serve their bottom line. But then I think it might be at the compromise of the whole purpose of podcasting, which is to have frank and open conversations that are unedited and are unfiltered.
Yes.
And sometimes you got to do that for the person who's paying to have that little segment at the beginning.
If companies have a progressive enough marketing team and advertising team, they will understand that humans are humans. You
That's
know,
right.
like we all converse and we all have jokes in our own lives and with conversations with friends. And when you're getting to know someone, you're going to probably hit on topics that, like, do we melt together?
Yeah.
Melt, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And my conflicting ideology sometimes get highlighted because of that. You know, and it's good. It's good. It's good to have debate.
Totally. Discourse.
Yeah.
That's what I'm about. It's my whole shebang.
Let's start a fire.
Hell yeah.
So what have you been up to since you did the last time we talked? You were creating Levels Creative.
Yep.
How's that going?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sheldon and I, so we've been operating properly for like a solid year.
Oh, sick.
And it's been an incredible journey. Most of the lessons have been about just what it's like to run a business. You know, I've learned quite a lot refining the craft of commercial content creation and marketing, etc. But most of the lessons have come from how to liaise with clients, how do we invoice properly, how do we strategize what we're going to be doing, how do we fit things in, how do we plan. That's probably been the biggest takeaway. So we've actually decided to change directions. We were originally starting to be a marketing company, and then we moved into content creation services. So that eventually manifested as some pretty high-level work with some pretty cool clients. We've made commercials that have been aired on Foxtel, KO Sports, that kind of stuff.
Sick.
I've had my hand at directing, which is my biggest passion in life. Probably more than music because I understand less about it. But I've always wanted to be a filmmaker. So to be able to do it at some amateur level in the commercial spaces was really fulfilling.
Right.
It's something I really want to do a lot more. But what we found, and I can't talk too much about this, unfortunately, because we're kind of developing something, and I've got a software guy. His name's Fraser. He'll kill me if I spill too many beans. But we just found that there was not much out there that assists content creators and the people that they work for and with managing large-scale projects for bulk delivery. Because now we see that back in the day, you would hire a content creator to make you a few videos. Maybe they post on their own channel. Maybe they were a bit more on the filmmaking side, and they'd make it for you to post. And there would only be a handful of videos maybe that you'd contract somebody to produce for you. And the rest would be your own organic content. Now the content creator is a job. It's an entire industry. It's an emerged market that's only emerged in the past couple years. And these individuals are out there in the Wild West with clients who have a lot of money and a lot of resources, but also zero knowledge about this new market. And we find that content creators are kind of getting taken for a ride, and they're getting, 40, 50 assets squeezed out of them when originally maybe they only agreed to produce 20 or 30. There's no system out there that helps manage projects like this and keep the relationship between the creator and the client happy and optimistic, and involve the client in the creative process and make them feel that they have a level of oversight and control for what they're paying for. There's nothing really like that.
Right.
So without saying too much, we've decided to start building it.
Yeah, like a regulator. I like it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's a software package, but it has numerous functions that are kind of bespokely designed to manage the content creator and their client to allow for bulk delivery of massive amounts of assets, whether it's graphic, photographic, videographic.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, don't go too far into it. Give your idea, all right?
I know,
How did you come to the conclusion of going after like a software thing? Did you have like these troubles yourself?
Yeah, we needed one.
Oh, right.
We had this massive project. We had to deliver 40 assets, and I was like, how do I manage all this? Like, is there somewhere other than Google Drive and email and Dropbox that allows me to do this? And then I looked, and there are things out there. A lot of them are catered towards film and TV. So we're really doubling down on the smaller end of the market. So the content creator, the individual producer, like the people that we know around here, like the Sizzle Boys, Joel Baker, etc. Like we anticipate people like that will have a lot of use, as well as marketing agencies who need to see all the content being made that substantiates the ads they then run online, and the in-house marketing coordinator who needs to be able to show their boss an overview of the assets being made, costs, timeline, etc. So
it'd probably be a good leeway into Levels Creative as well. Like for the people that need further assistance, you guys could contract directly to them.
Yeah,
if
pretty much.
Like, we don't want to do it. Can you do it for us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that'd be sick.
We've kind of had to pause the production arm of things just because, we have to pay bills and live our own lives.
No, really?
But, I know, right? Oh, man. I want to live in a Star Trek world.
Yeah.
Just fly around.
Star Trek was bullshit though, dude.
Really?
Yeah. Come on, man. They didn't have mobiles. They would be like,
they had iPads.
Over. Yeah, I know. But
you see the communicator badge? They press the badge.
So stupid.
They just speak through the badge. I love it.
It's retarded.
They're probably all neural linked in to each other. There's something that we're not aware of. But
electronic butt plug. It
That's
vibrates
right.
3 times if you get a call.
That's right.
Someone's at your front door.
Anytime the Romulans arrives, you get a oh
fuck.
That's right.
Like
Shields up.
Cam 4 shit with the vibrating.
Brown alert.
Brown alert. Code brown.
That's right.
You have been last year you played some massive shows, right?
I did one big one. That
One
was on
big
Christmas Eve, with
You played guitar.
Gojo.
Yeah, Gojo, right? That's
that was
hectic.
an awesome opportunity. Very last minute, J Cal hit me up and said, "Look, we need somebody. Can you come through?" And I went there, did my best, and I think we had a great show.
Did you practice?
Well, I mean, we didn't have that much rehearsal time, to be honest.
Right.
So
they're like, just stay in key, motherfucker.
Yeah, they're right. Pentatonic box. But it was really awesome because I kind of like those high pressure scenarios, and obviously with something like that, they have a very refined show. Like Gojo is brilliant, and he knows what he's doing, and he's like razor sharp with what he wants. And I think it was an interesting experiment for him and me, being a new person coming in to someone who's had session guitarists who have helped him produce the tracks and then compose them for live shows and then play them multiple times live, versus me coming in and I wasn't very familiar with his music. I was just kind of there just to fill the space in that spectrum of sound, I guess. I just kind of be the guitar part. I started listening to all the music. I'm like, oh, wow, this is very guitar heavy. Like, I have a lot of work to do. So it was a really interesting conversation figuring out, okay, what do we keep in there? What do we take out? What do I have time to learn? What do I have time not to learn? How do we configure things around? And it worked in the end. It was great. I had the best time. And my favorite thing is, like, he's got a song called Double Down. Mm-hmm. It's a great song. It's like a bit of an R&B kind of flavor, which obviously is like bullseye for me.
Yeah.
And the morning of the show, I was just practicing at home, and I just banged out this guitar solo for that song. And I think it's one of the best solos I've written.
Really?
Because it was just purely out of a needs basis. I'm like, I just need something here for 8 bars. Let me just kind of mess around. I've got to leave in a couple hours anyway, so it's nothing, no pressure, just play. Mm-hmm. And then, I've got a recording of it. I think I might start doing some just like guitar covers, solos, etc., and showcase music that I like, particularly like local artists, Aussie artists, etc.
That's a good move.
Play some guitar on top of them, tag the song, and Double Down is going to be on that list. That's for sure.
Oh shit! How did you write it? Was it just off ear, playing track in the background?
Yeah, so the track is in the background, and then I just kind of find the key. And the great thing about guitar is that there are shapes for scales.
Of course.
So no matter where
Major
you
scales,
move,
minor.
that's right. Mm-hmm. No matter what key you're in, the same shape will apply. So that shape is basically telling you exactly where to press. It's almost like, I think of it as like some kind of electronic device. What buttons do I press?
Yes.
I know which ones are available to me and which ones are off. So I just kind of find the key, find the box, find the shape, and then find the box, lol. And then play in there.
I still can't.
Dude.
The mythical box.
I don't know. I think I was in a relationship when I was here last.
Yes, you are.
I'm single as hell now, man. That's
as
been
hell?
crazy.
What does as hell mean? You're not getting laid at all?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe.
It's me and this guy.
Yeah?
No, I mean...
Switch it up, bro. You got 2. Like, you can have like a 2-in-1 relationship happening right now.
It's we're polyamorous.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm going to move to California. It's going to be sick.
Dye your hair blue.
Yeah.
Tuck it back. Have fun, bro.
That's it. Yeah, that's been crazy. Why did I start talking about this? I got distracted with a phone.
Gojo. Guitar.
Find the box.
Find the box.
That's what it was.
That's right. Okay.
We'll springboard it off a hilarious pun.
Have you seen like the contraptions that guitarists have made? I think it's people either aspiring to be guitarists or already guitarists, and they've engineered like hands, but it's like a claw that goes over the top of the guitar neck and plays all the chords for you.
I have seen something like that, yeah.
Like, why not just learn guitar?
Yeah, just learn a guitar.
Like, that's what a guitar is meant for.
Yeah.
Like, you can synthesize anything on a DAW.
That's
like,
right.
why are you doing this? A DAW is a digital audio workspace. DAW, not DOOR.
A DAW, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ring.
Music production software.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people are freaking lazy, and I think it's probably
But that's
just a
not
gimmick.
lazy. That's like, you tried the hardest way. You know how.
Yeah. There's some pretty remarkable technology out there for guitar. One of the things I love about guitar, maybe I'm biased, but I think it's one of the instruments that's at least the most, if not impossible, to replace completely digitally.
What do you mean?
Because with guitar, just the way that it's constructed physically and the way guitar is engineered, it demands, for it to sound good, it demands a certain level of human finesse. So things like vibrato when you're hitting a note, or how you bend the string. And there's little things as well, like because essentially a guitar works by having a passive electromagnet that essentially acts as a microphone that picks up a very small radius, i.e. the strings that you're playing, right? Nothing outside. Although if you do have a guitar that has a lot of gain on it, like an amp, you can go up to your guitar and you can speak into the pickups.
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
So it's microphonic in a way. So that means what it's picking up is the sound of the finger touching and then releasing from the string. Or like the pressure of someone who's strumming really hard for one stroke out of 10 that they're playing in a riff.
Yes, and
all
it's
those
stroke
dynamics-
placement as well, right?
That's
like
right.
closer to the bridge, it'd
Yes.
be completely different.
Completely different. And obviously, you know, if you're jamming like this, every time I'm going up and down, I can move my hand left and right, and I'm doing things. My palm is touching the strings, my hands moving up and down the fretboard, and all of that's getting picked up by the pickups, right? So it's very difficult to replicate that digitally. And I've heard like a lot of programs that do, but I find that producers spend far more time getting a very average guitar sound than they would if they just hired a session guitarist or play guitar themselves. Whereas something like piano, it doesn't have those touchstones of human finesse.
It's just a hammer hitting a string.
Exactly.
Or every time.
Every single time. And like you can just map it based on velocity.
Yes.
Right? There's nothing else. There's no nuance to it, which is why that's very easily replaceable. Now, nothing can replace a live keys player doing things, but that's becoming a smaller and smaller market, I guess, for musicians.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with guitar because I think it's one of those things that people are always going to want and always think are cool. And I'll always be able to play without feeling like some producer's going to come along and be like, oh, I've got a VST that can do that better than you. I just don't think you could.
I think eventually it might get there.
Maybe. Yeah.
I wonder how close we are to like individualized AI systems where this AI plays a guitar this certain way and it cannot be replicated. You know, like licensing that sound for an AI generator. Like, there's got to be something like that soon enough. And it won't be down to how good you are. It'll be down to how much you can pay for the licensing of that AI.
Yeah.
You know?
I guess the benefit of the free market is with all these AI products emerging, there is tension on the big dogs to lower their prices and to innovate.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think, again, it's just the free market doing what it does best. Because what I've discovered, even just in the very rudimentary, mundane version of this software that we're building, is that OpenAI is open source. You can plug it into things. You can go into the back end and change its code. You can configure it. You can make your own AI. What's great about the modern age is that a lot of young people are educated in software development, coding, et cetera, et cetera. I missed that boat when I was in high school. But I know a lot of Gen Zers who learnt that in high school, or it's just a part of their world, far more than it was, at least for me personally. And I think those are going to be the guys that are going to take on the Googles and the Microsofts and the Apples and the open AIs of the world, because the product's out there, AI is out there. So if you have the skills and talent to turn it into something that's useful for you and keep it at a low price, you can disrupt and make a lot of money.
I heard these two guys talking at a train station, I was in London, and they were talking about, AI, there's no point becoming a coder anymore. And the other guy said, what the hell was that noise?
I don't know.
It was like something fell out of the roof.
The feds.
And one of the guys said AI is now going to become easier because you can just get AI to code everything.
Yeah.
You can put it into a command running program, and it will just run it. And I was thinking, well, that's not real, because those the command centers, they're created by people that did more in-depth coding to create that in the first place.
Yeah.
So what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, we're still kind of... Look, I think the general feeling among the public is that they know AI exists, and they know that it's a threat, but they don't know what form it exists in or the exact nature of the threat it poses. I went out, I met this person the other day, and they're a graphic designer, and I was talking to her. And I just briefly mentioned AI about something. And she was basically like, I don't even want to talk about it because I know that it's just going to fuck me up. I just know that it's just like, it's coming from my job.
Yeah.
So there's an awareness, right? And I guess that's the really spooky thing is like, not to be all doom and gloom, but AI is the right technology at the wrong time, I think. Like, I honestly just wish we had 10 years on it and it came out in like 2010.
Yes.
Not in 2024, when there's a massive cost of living crisis all over the world. The world's economy has been tanked by COVID. There's lots of tension politically between people. There's lots of war and lots of conflict. This is the time where people are clutching their bags the most and they're the most afraid, and they need things like job security. I don't think they necessarily need a new technology to come in and replace them, because it's not something that is worth thinking about right now. Everyone's just trying to pay their bills, right? Everyone's just trying to get along. So right technology, wrong time in a way, but it's here. It's here. But it doesn't matter if it's the wrong time.
Well, it's probably the right time for the people that are creating it.
Yes.
You know?
Well, of course.
Yeah.
I'm worried, man. I'm worried about the layman.
Me too.
You know, you and I, we keep up with that stuff. We're on top of it. We have our finger on the pulse. I don't expect people to be on the front end of the cutting edge of technology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not what people do.
You know what fucked me up? Yesterday when the Trump attempted assassination happened.
Yeah.
I thought that was AI.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of things to say as a U.S. citizen.
That happened in Maryland, was it?
Pennsylvania. Yeah. I was also wondering if it was fake.
Yes.
You know, if it was a deep fake. But just because it's just so easy to make that stuff now. And also, it's just, you know, if that had happened to Obama, I think people would be far more inclined just to believe that it was a real assassination attempt on the front end, on face value. But Trump's history of manipulation and the fact that he's the kind of character that I think, at least it's not beyond him to stage something like that.
Yes.
Does immediately raise at least a small level of suspicion as to whether or not it was real. Now, I think, you know, then seeing the images of his ear bleeding, kind of matching that with the footage, seeing the Secret Service take out the sniper, now I believe it was real.
Yes.
But the fact that many people, and I imagine yourself as well, initially were like, well, wait a second.
Yeah.
That is enough to make me a bit worried about what else could happen.
My thoughts were, this is staged. And then when the reports came out of the person behind Trump dying and his identity, and then the shooter's identity, which was earlier today, I started to think, well, nobody's going to give their life up for Trump. But then I was thinking, you know what? People go to war every day for the president, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Every day. But self-sacrifice in the name of politics is a fucking rough thing, man. Like, that's how you know that the constructed media, or the facade that constructed media portrays, it seems like a dramatic veil pulled over the eyes of the American people, and it stirs up some serious emotions.
Totally. Yeah. The American people are incredibly disenfranchised. Australians do not understand that the average American person in the USA is nothing like the people that they have seen on television or the people that they have met when they have traveled the US. You have enough money to go from Perth to the USA, you're going to go there and you're going to do fun things, right? You're going to go out, you're going to go to the cool clubs, you're going to go to the cool experiences, you're going to meet cool people. The people that you meet that are in those spaces in America are at the very, 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 very least the upper middle class, if not upper class. The middle, lower middle, and lower class of America are fucked. I have family who I would categorize somewhere in that spectrum of socioeconomic status, right? They are the victims of such political turmoil, policy swing like a pendulum from extreme left to extreme right, a military war machine that profits significantly off armed conflict overseas, and most importantly, an intense psychological media rhetoric that has just pierced deep into their minds and made them, in many cases, radicalized. And I think what we saw with Trump was a normal American person who, because they live there, have access to a gun, and was radicalized by the political turmoil and by the disenfranchisement. It's very difficult to live in that country. It's very difficult to get by. It's very difficult to do anything that even gives you a remote sense of dopamine because you're just struggling every day. And these are the people who will look at someone like Trump and say, if I take you out, at least maybe then things might change. And I can see why this is happening. My fear is where this is going to go and how Trump is going to use this to continue the radicalization of his own supporters, maybe become a bit of a martyr, a bit of a representative. And I can totally see him doing that. And then we might have something like January 6th happen a lot sooner again than people realize when they storm the Capitol.
I think you might be right, because a report came out this morning about the shooter that shot at Trump and hit his ear. He was a registered Republican.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow.
Which is...
Well, here come the conspiracy theories, right?
Yeah.
And this is... Oh, it's so scary. And I think it's going to secure the win for him.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
When I saw that, I was like, Joe, just sit down.
Did you hear Joe's speech this morning? Oh, you were asleep. He had he spoke to the American public, and he was basically just saying there's no room for violence.
I did see that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but he spoke again this morning.
Okay.
Like it was just gaff central. Like, just don't give that guy a microphone if he doesn't need to.
Yeah.
You know.
Damn. I saw footage of the debate in 2020.
He is
Way
so
better.
much more cognitively aware.
Only 4 years ago.
Oh, that's pure decline.
Yeah.
You can just see it. Like my grandmother, she's just coming up to 92.
Wow.
And she's having accelerated dementia outbursts, and it's so sad to see. But
Yeah.
she hasn't even had 2 neurosurgeries. Like, he's had 2 brain surgeries. Open the top of his head.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yep. Yeah, I know. I don't think he should have ran. But I don't know what it's like to be, an old person whose mind is wavering. But I imagine the last thing to go would be the ego.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? That would
Especially
be
if
the
you're a
last
career politician
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
You're like, I got this shit. You just shit
100%.
yourself.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Where he shot himself?
Yeah. My favorite is when...
The lady's face behind him?
Yeah. Mr. President. My God. My favorite is when he's just doing some speech and he's just standing at the podium and then he just turns and walks away. And then the camera's panning and he's just walking. And then he turns back and goes.
Yeah.
And then keeps walking.
All right, folks.
I'm like, okay, big dog.
He went to shake a ghost's hand. Did you see that? Where
my
he
God,
turned and he
yes.
put his hand out and there was nobody there.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
This is the guy that controls the biggest armed military in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the most powerful. I don't think they're the biggest, but they're definitely the most powerful.
Definitely.
Yeah. The world police. America.
Fuck yeah. You'd never make that movie nowadays, dude.
You'd never make that movie about Australia.
Well, there wouldn't be much to make.
Australia. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, can't. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, there wouldn't be much to make. I've been so caught up currently in the... have you seen the page Punters Politics?
Oh, no.
Dude.
Sounds like my kind of page.
Yeah, you got to have a look at that guy.
Sick.
He's he goes deep in the paint about everything Australian politics, and he's like, dude, we do not have free speech here. So
No.
he always says, whether he's pointing out a story about a person in particular, allegedly, and then puts up some like paperwork that says he can talk about this. But
Whoa.
if you don't do that, you get sued, defamation.
Yes. The Australian Constitution confers an implied right to the freedom of political communication.
Bow,
That's as far as we get.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the right to communicate about politics, but that's not the same as you have
Free
the
speech.
right to say whatever you want.
Mm.
So, but
Yeah.
I don't think Australia needs anything like that. I mean, our politics in Australia, it runs itself. The country runs itself, and it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
We just have so much fucking money.
Mm-hmm.
So much that it's like people don't care enough about what is the minister of X going to do if they are elected.
Yes.
Tell me who the minister of finance is. Tell me who the minister of immigration is. Tell me who the minister of health is. These are the people who are
Some fat bitch.
some freaking boomer
Yeah.
out
literally.
there like, well, I didn't have to pay for university when I went to university, so here's a $70,000 hex stat, Marche. It's ridiculous.
That's
Anyway.
ridiculous. Yeah.
But it's one of those problems.
Apparently they let off like 1.2 billion in hex debts this week.
Yes, it shaved $2,000 off mine.
Oh, was it a blanket over everyone's? Yeah. Oh, that's shit. It should be people with like, if you're in your 50s plus, don't worry anymore.
I totally agree with you. Totally.
Like,
It's ridiculous.
You don't want someone that's 70-year-old with like a HECS debt and like they can't afford food because they've got money coming out of their paycheck, like their government pension.
Yeah. And the promise was that it will never be subject to interest. And then they added this thing called the index rate, which basically allows the government to raise the money you owe, or the cost of the debt, relative to inflation, other kind of economic metrics. So like it's not interest, but
it's interest. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
That's right. It's interest with this nebulous concept because there's no percentage.
Well, it'd be a index interest rather than a product interest, right?
Yeah. But it's a special type of indexing that's specific for higher education loans.
That's just small print for we're going to fuck you.
Yeah, we're going to take as much money as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sad.
That happens in literally every industry that has government backing. Every industry. It doesn't just have to be education. It's doctors as well. Look at what happened with the vid. You know, that was all backed, man.
Oh hell yeah!
And who knows? Like, what is an expert? An expert in anything? It's just they've had enough exposure to the one thing that they can manage the terrain over a certain number of years. New information comes out every day.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we do need experts.
What is that though?
I guess someone who has committed themselves to furthering people's knowledge in a particular thing. To me, an expert isn't someone who just knows a lot about it, but someone who contributes to furthering the knowledge. You know, that's what a PhD is for, I guess, in a way.
But most experts are brought on to justify why they are increasing the amount of money that needs to go to funding. It's not so much like I take doctors. I used to take doctors for granted, but now I'm starting to realize that most doctors and surgeons just want the money. And that's why they got there in the first place. Yeah. They started out with like, I want to help people, but then they realize their HECS debt's $500,000 by the time they're a surgeon. They have an overpriced mortgage that they have to pay for. Yeah. And continue.
Their second wife is asking for that child support.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes me mad, man.
But I don't think I don't think a surgeon opens up and says, all right, let's make some fucking money. I think they genuinely are like, okay, like I have a job to do and I'm going to do it. I want to help. I do want to help this person. Like I can't imagine any of them do not want to help. If anything, because if they are shown to be negligent, they're screwed.
Yes, it's just the driving force of other industries like pharmaceutical.
Yes, exactly right. Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a whole machine. Like it's an economic model. The health system is an economic system. Like people profit. Off it. Well, I mean, again, one of the benefits of living in Australia is we have one of the best health systems in the world. I think, you know, in the developed world, that's for sure. You know, it's nothing on Scandinavia, but it's not the USA.
Yes.
Like if you are sick and poor, the government will help you.
Yeah.
Like they will.
Yeah.
Like they'll
sell you some shit. They'll sell you help. That's one thing that I found out with being sick last year is I was sold help very well. Right. Very intrinsically as well. Because I was like, oh, they're going to fix me. This is good. Yeah. Okay. It was only until I started listening to myself, my own anatomical knowledge on the human body that I was like, well, I know from bodybuilding a number of products that could help relieve I had ulcerative colitis at the time, and I never had it. There's no heritage in my family with it. And it was after the COVID jab. I started getting these symptoms of like health decline. Damn. So I used peptides and steroids and got myself through it. And I had 11 surgeries, and each one was a botched surgery. And then I saw a guy named Dr. Abraham Jacobs of Murdoch, St. John of God. Fantastic surgeon. And I just went in there. I was like, look, this is what I've done. I just want a colonoscopy just to check to see where I'm at now, because this is after I took all the peptides and stuff. Right. And he's like, you have one of the most healthy colons I've ever seen.
Sweet.
I was like, sweet. Cool.
Yeah. We need more Abraham Jacobs in the world.
Yes.
You know, that's someone who obviously makes a lot of money, but also cares, right?
He cares big time.
So that's good to hear.
And I think he's quite young too. I think he's like 30, maybe 38. 39.
Damn, that is young for a surgeon.
Yeah.
Something to prove.
Clued in. Indian dude.
Oh, yeah.
Indian? Maybe not. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be racist, but you're brown.
Yeah.
He's brown. Like, I don't know what to say. Like,
yeah, man, they work hard, because actually a good friend of mine is a medical student. She's about to graduate, and She told me that Australian graduates are guaranteed a job under the law.
Wow.
But people who are international students have to bid and fight for it.
Really?
Yeah.
But what if they excel?
Then they'll get a job, but it's not guaranteed. So you can imagine, I don't know what the equivalent of kind of just like getting by medical school is, and you'd have to hit like the most incredible scores to pass, like 90 to 100%. You need to get 100% in your exams, etc., like that, to get the qualification. So obviously it's competitive, but I think obviously it motivates the international students to work just a little bit harder, because getting a job is a ticket to a visa, and Australia is a great place to live.
Visas, by the way, I know we're going into a lot of industry shit again.
Yeah.
Governmental industry shit. But visas, did you know the rate of inflation for the economy is the same as visa payments?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so my partner, she's from England. We literally have just paid last week for her partner visa. When we checked it at the start of last year, it was 7,400 or something like that. And then we looked again in December this year, just gone, and it was 8,850.
Oof.
And we paid last week, I think 9,250.
Jeez. Yeah, it makes sense. Again, right? That's how you get the money. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, let's get off the industry shit.
All right.
Let's get into some real things. I'm warmed up.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. What do you want to talk about?
What's been on your mind? Tell me what you've been ripping about. I got some things, but
yeah.
I don't know what's been tickling at the front of your lobe.
The front of my lobe. God damn. I think I've been scared, dude, in life at the moment. Not so much of not being able to talk about things, but more the subjugation of change. Like,
yeah.
I've pushed myself. I've got a baby on the way.
Yeah, congratulations.
What the fuck?
So cool.
Like, that's the biggest. It's probably going to be the biggest thing in my life, apart from, birth myself.
Yeah.
Like
from being alive.
Being alive. I'm literally created another human.
Yeah.
I'm worried about what he's coming into the world.
No, it's a boy, is it?
It's a little boy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes. I think
I don't want his best friend to be a little tranny.
I mean, this is the thing, right?
I'm just kidding. I shouldn't say tranny.
I almost, I think, obviously, it's scary no matter what sex your child is. Thinking,
yes.
Oh, the boy's going to grow up here, and there's some risks as a man, and then if I have a girl, she's going to grow up here, and there's some risks as a girl. But I wonder if now, for the first time in human history, if having a male is a little bit scarier than having a female child.
I think so.
And obviously, the threats that are against women in the world are primarily posed by men. Obviously, if you had a baby girl, you'd be worrying about, her being like sexually harassed and all these things, right? Which are overwhelmingly perpetrated by men. Mm-hmm. And that stuff is really relevant and it's very real. And being worried about the world your little boy is going to grow up in is not at the expense of the inherent risks that women face every day.
No.
But I think the risks against men now are new. They haven't been risked historically.
Yes.
And they're not physical. They are psychological. And I wonder, one of the things that I've been pondering about a lot, I can only really describe it as my observations of the sedation of the male. I feel like men are being sedated politically, economically, socially, psychologically, even things like spiritually and emotionally as well.
Nutritionally, everything.
The classic man, the classic masculine is now branded as toxic and useless. And in fact, if you were to try and take on those traits, but I think particularly if you're a young person, you'd be shunned. Like I said, I'm single at the moment, so I've been going on some dates. Ooh. Look at me go.
How's that been?
And I've had some really interesting observations about this topic, right? About what women who are in my age group-ish want from men, or like young men like myself.
Right.
And like the variety is pretty amazing, but there is some significant through lines. There seems to still be this inherent desire for chivalry. if you ask to split the bill on the first date, it's still not acceptable. You're probably not going to get a second. There still seems to be a desire for the man to make significant amount of capital or have assets and resources available.
Mm-hmm. Even though they can make all the money in the world on OnlyFans.
Well, that's right. And I was going to say, ideally more than the girl, than the lady.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there has to be a level of sedation of the man's concerns about the woman in terms of her antics and what she's doing, and any kind of, I mean, I think the OnlyFans thing is a great example, right? Like, we kind of live in a culture now where if you meet a girl and her job is OnlyFans and you say, I'm not interested in you because of that, you are the problem. And I think what's happening is the classic kind of territorial male is getting sedated into like, oh, it's all good, babe.
Yes.
Show the entire world your naked body.
Yeah.
And I'll totally be okay with it, despite the fact all my friends are probably subscribed to you.
Yeah.
And I just don't like the fact that, there seems to be having your cake and eating it too at the moment.
It seems like blanket ethics. They want a blanketed ethic or morality, if you will, for every human to go by. But depending on where you grow up, man, you could have different ethics from the next person, like sitting next to you at the fucking bus station.
Exactly.
Like, who knows?
Yeah.
And that's an issue, right? Because if everyone is completely coherent with the same ideologies, where's individuality? Where's the pushback? Where's the conflict? Why can't we debate? Why can't we talk through things?
Totally.
Like, why do I have to be okay with you taking your clothes off, but I still have to earn more money than you?
Yeah.
I have to be chivalrous, even though you want me to open a door, but you're willing to open your legs for anyone. It's like,
that's right.
What's going on?
And obviously, these are quite extreme examples as well. And I think
course.
we're kind of blessed that in Australia, I think we're still quite behind the curve.
Yeah.
I have friends that live in America. It's very different culture over there. But what I think is the problem now is men and women, ironically, it makes me laugh every time I say it, have been divided. And then there's an inherent inequality that comes from that. The purpose of feminism originally was to elevate women to the same status in terms of rights and access as men.
Yes.
I.e., they should have the right to vote, and they should have access to these things, and they should have the freedom from harassment and assault.
Yes.
And those are all things that I think are totally relevant and have already been achieved in the Australian context.
Yes.
Now, we can get into the whole cents on the dollar thing, etc., but that's different too. Oh, a man can go and vote for who's going to be prime minister and a woman can't. But I think now we've steamrolled into this boy TikTok and girl TikTok worlds where men and women are getting fed conflicting and different messages about each other, and it's creating division and conflict. Whereas I just feel like men and women should just have conversations more. Like, men and women should be talking more about their perspectives on things, whether it be something extreme like OnlyFans or something a bit more nuanced like chivalry. But it seems like they're talking amongst themselves and not together.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it seems like the people that have the most hard time with the life that they're living, they get the most empathy. And then they want that. The crowd wants that for everybody. It's like, not everyone's going through that same, rhetoric.
Dude, like, and I just think, what I'd like to see is chivalry back from women. To be chivalrous or to be courteous, I think is a trait that if you identify in someone, it's very attractive, right? And there's many ways for someone to express chivalry. But I even had Do
you want someone to open the door for you, bro? I can do it.
Sure, man.
on our way out, I'll open the door for you. It'll get you going.
Yeah. I mean, like, I even had a girl admit to me on a date that men get the short end of the stick in terms of dating.
Really?
Like, women are aware. Like, women are so smart, and they go to university now, guys. They're not like girls, and you can't just swing in there and be like, "Hey, girl, here's some money in a Gucci bag. Marry me," right? Not saying many guys are like that, but there probably are some. But anyway, they are so aware, especially because dating is like it's a social mechanism, and men are usually a little bit dumb socially, or at least not as on top of things as women are, because they're a bit more empathetic. They can kind of read the room a bit better, a bit more observational. Whereas men, especially in the dating space, we have to be the guy. We're trying to sell something.
Which is strange, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's weird that, like,
women generate leads. by posting photos. Men try and sell, right?
Where's the capacity of just, let's see if we get along. Let's see if we match.
Yeah.
Rather than being an actual match on like Bumble or Tinder or something like that.
Dude, dating apps have destroyed love. I swear. They have subconsciously installed this notion in people's minds that if it doesn't work out, another person's just a swipe away. That is not conducive to a long, healthy relationship.
Yeah.
It is exacerbating people's narcissism and selfishness, and I don't think it's going to be it's not going to generate any kind of net benefit for society. Do you remember when Tinder came out? 2014, right? I remember, and it was this thing where it was almost shameful if you like, oh, like I'm kind of seeing someone like, oh, well, how'd you meet? You're like, oh, on Tinder, and like, oh, gross, ew. Like it seemed like it was this kind of hedonistic platform. And in many ways now it's evolved into something that's a lot more meaningful. And you know, I personally
it's still a hedonistic platform.
Oh yeah,
but it's just accepted now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the difference.
Surely way more people are into those things now because of Tinder. Like, because you're able just to message someone and have them come over and sleep with you in a very short period of time. And I think, you know, if you're a woman as well, you have way more access to that stuff. I remember even reading an article pretty recently that 90% of the matches are for women and 10% are for men.
Whoa.
So...
yeah, but I know guys that just go whoop, 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 right swipe every woman just because, like, I'd rather have some attention than none.
Well, that's right, because they're in that 10%, right? Because they're not getting any.
Yeah.
Like if a woman were to sit there and go dun, 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 it'd be match.
Yeah, true.
Right. So this is a problem. I think it's changing culture. We're still the test dummies for all this shit. We don't quite know what it's going to do. But let me put it this way. You know, I love my mum and dad very much. They had their 39th wedding anniversary the other week.
Oh,
I'm not sure if they grew up in a world of Tinder and Bumble and Hinge, if they'd still be together.
Oh, definitely not.
Right?
No.
And that's a problem, right? In terms of making more people and having families and doing that thing, it's an issue. And then you times that with the rise of these open relationships and polyamory. And again, I just feel like it's a selfish pursuit and no one's really even encouraged to accept some level of traditionality and think about having a family, having a child, settling down and doing the thing. Now, you don't have to do that, but I worry about what the future's going to hold if we just tell people, you know what, go out there, get online, sleep with heaps of people, date 3 people at once. Kids are expensive anyway. It doesn't even matter. People are going to go out there. Everyone's going to be coming and having orgies and not making kids. And the kids that are made are not being supported by any kind of finite family network. And then in the background, we have other countries who are like, well, you are making kids and that kid is going to go and join the military. And then one day that military is going to cause some fucking shit when people are running around with rainbows tattooed on their heads and they're 45.
Yeah. It's going to be a different world when you see a guy that's been wrestling a bear for the last 20 years punch a lady with blue hair in the face. And that dude's a dude, by the way. You know.
Yeah.
My thoughts on this whole the grass is greener.
Yeah.
Epidemic, if you want to call it that, is grass is greener where you water it, but sometimes that shit's astroturf and it stays green. So just because it looks good doesn't mean it's real.
Yeah.
You know, that shit's fake.
Very true.
You know, you got to be aware of these things, and if you're not aware of these things, you're gonna slowly just dissolve your ethics and morals just so you can have a little lust or a little hedonistic.
Yeah. Well, and for men, you end up just paying for shit. Like, I've been caught out a couple times. I'm pretty onto it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good. But there's been times I'm like, this person is here because they want some dinner.
Yes.
Or they want some coffee.
Yes.
Or they want some attention. They want some validation. Not because they are interested in me. And
if you have a nice car, I have some advice. Park far away.
Okay.
And walk. Because a lot of times girls will look at your car if you park close just because of ease, because we're men, we like to do things that make sense.
Yes.
A girl will, bye, where'd you park? just to have a look at your car.
Yeah.
You know? And is it socioeconomically sound to continue dating this person? I used to park like 2 blocks away.
True that.
Yeah, and just walk back to the car.
Well, I have a very average car, but
even better.
it's good though. It's Volkswagen Golf. But my thing
Well,
is
that's
this,
even better, 'cause
there
you-
is a palpable shift in sometimes. I'm painting with a big broad brush here, but there's a palpable shift in interest once I tell them about my job and once I tell them about the things that I do in my life.
Don't tell them.
Well, yeah, so I try not to. I really do try and avoid. Sometimes it comes up and you just can't avoid it. But you know, it can often. I have noticed some changes, and I guess for me personally, I'm very aware of not being with someone who sees me as an opportunity to have a comfortable life. You know, the idea is to find someone where if I were to lose it all, I wouldn't lose them, and they'd still stick around. Not just because I have XYZ assets, resources that they can participate in. But it's tricky. And like I said, a lot of young women are really aware of this, because I can't even imagine what it's like. And any women listening are probably going to be laughing at me right now, because we're just not in that world. But imagine if you were like, you know, a relatively attractive girl in Perth and you have dating apps, right? And you have Instagram. The amount of times that you just get matches and have people messaging you, just people just coming out of the blue and DMing you cold, you're always getting fed attention. You're always getting fed validation. Even if 90% of the men on there are ugly and weird and creepy, you still know, oh, I'm desired. Like, I'm wanted. And obviously, sometimes that can snowball into a place of risk. But by and large, the amount of validation and attention that is just absorbed by your average woman on Instagram nowadays, I think has changed the way that they see men. And I think now they see them as machines.
Numbers.
Yeah, but machines, like they output things like dinners and coffees and cars and a house and a nice place to live. And it's a mechanism to produce things rather than who is this individual, who is this person, like what's their thoughts on this, and who do they love and who do they not love, and where's their family from, and all of that I think is starting to be distilled. And yeah, it's worrying for me.
There's a need for that, right? Because if you look prior to the industrial age, women would need the man to go and get the money, to go and get the resources. Even look at caves. When we used to live in caves, the men would go out and hunt.
Yeah.
The women would look after the children and they would cook.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a balance. But now these days, everything is so the convenient that you go out for dinner. There's no cooking. There's always resources can make up for everything else.
Totally.
So why is there's no balance there anymore? If the man is providing all the resources and everything is in a convenient state, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What value do you bring?
It always makes me cringe when I hear women flex the money of their men. Like it really rattles my bones.
Unless it's like a safety thing, that's fine.
Yeah, of course. Or if they're married, then I think it's cute.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, you've been dating this guy for 6 months and you're just like, he got money. I'm like, why is that relevant?
He's sucking 3 of his dudes' friends'
What?
dicks as well.
We could go into that past trauma if you really want.
Yeah.
We can unpack it.
I used to date this girl, and I was in a relationship with her for a while. And when I first started dating her, she was like, down to fuck, bro. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Let's go out for dinner. I take her out for dinner. And she was asking me for a date for like 6 months.
Nice.
And she was hot, like, don't get me wrong. And I met her in a different country. And then on the first date, I paid for dinner. I paid for drinks for the night. And I was like, let's go get a hotel room. She's like, do you think I'm that type of girl? And I'm like, well, obviously you were asking me to go on a date. Like, what is this about? Why not pay for the paycheck or for dinner or something then? And she's like, no, I never want to talk to you again. I was like, okay, bye. Dropped her off home. And that was probably a bad move because the next day she was like, I'm sorry, I was drunk. Let's do it again. And I was like, I need pussy. So I'm going to do this again. But I swear to God, if she does this shit again, I'm not giving in. I gave in like another 6 times.
Yeah. Yes, sir. It happens. And I mean, like, and this is the thing. It's right. Because of these apps and because of Instagram, all this kind of stuff. Again, you probably have about 5% of the men that have access to 90% of the women, and then you have 90% of the women have access to almost all the men.
Yes.
But then there's that 95% of men who really do not have access. Like, they don't even meet the prerequisites to play the game for whatever reason. They're not X height, they don't have X money, they don't appear X way, and they're disqualified because of that. I think this is going to create a loneliness epidemic, and it
already has.
Yeah,
There's dudes that with like AI bot girlfriends now.
Yeah,
just because they're lonely.
We laugh at that, but it makes sense, because it's hard to, I think, to really get into the minds of women just how lonely it can get when no one's interested in you. No, if you're a fucking 5 out of 10, whatever, I don't care about that shit, or like numbers, but very average looking girl, you're gonna get messages, you're gonna get DMs, you're gonna get matches, you're gonna get validation. Still might feel shit about yourself, still might not be the men you want, you still might feel lonely, but still it's there. You still exist. People are coming into your world and validating your existence, saying, hey, like, you're pretty, like, hey, I'm interested in you, like, let's have a conversation. You're real, like, you feel real. So many men out there aren't even acknowledged. They are just machines.
Yes.
They are not being validated on a spiritual or a human level of like, hey, like, dude, like, what's your go? Like, who are you? That's going to lead to more incels and more radicalization, and again, like, a more breakdown of the kind of the traditional values and traditional families, which I think is probably the most worrying result of all this.
Yeah. Well, would you want access to the 90% of the women or 100% of the women? I think most, like, if you're a good talker, a good orator, if you're in public and there's like, you're in a coffee shop and there's like single girls everywhere, what's your chance? 100%, right? You'll have a great conversation. There's a 100% chance that you'll have a great conversation.
Yes.
Not a 100% chance that you're going to get that chick.
Yes.
But online, you're exposed to what? You said 10% and they get 90% of
something like that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't want to talk to 90% of those people. Why? Because they're willing to get on a social media app to find a person.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, hey, I'm on the dating apps. It's just kind of what you got to do now.
I know. I understand.
Like
I understand.
The ability to go up to someone and talk to them like in person, like that can work. But I think it's I don't want to get too far into this point, but I think it's unfortunately a negative result of Perth's particular culture, that a lot of people are not very open to just meeting new people out and about. Whereas when I've gone overseas, it's like I didn't touch dating apps. You can actually have conversations. But
that's also like conditioning of the place that you live in, right?
Well, that's right.
Yeah. Because
the bad thing about Perth, this might be a good clip, who knows? But in Perth, it seems everyone's dating everyone. It's such a small pool of potential single individuals from, say, I don't know, 25 to 35, etc., that there's this weird cross-pollination of people. Like, the amount of times I've matched with a chick, followed her on Instagram, it's followed by Don Darko. Quincy.
Quincy's a hoe, though.
What's going on,
Love
bro?
you, bro.
He's a beautiful man.
Oh, yeah.
It's just really weird. It's disconcerting. And you constantly meeting people who know people you know, have been with people you've been with, etc. And I don't really think it's a comfortable place to be exploring that side of things sometimes. But it kind of is what it is. As long as you're not a dickhead, as long as you have a relatively good reputation, like, I think you'll be fine. But like, the result of it, again, I think, is just this kind of breakdown of the family unit. And I'm just so worried about that, because if you want to go and, not have kids or be in an open relationship and do all that kind of stuff, that's great. But it seems now like if you were to turn around and say, like, yeah, I want to have a wife and I want to have kids and I want to do X, Y, Z, people are kind of like, what?
Don't do it on a social media app. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I would highly suggest, and this isn't advice, don't take it as advice, but most of the people that you are talking to online are on there for attention or to get the attention of somebody else.
Totally.
Right?
Yep.
That is a narcissistic trait.
Yes.
Now, when you meet these people, they might seem very lovely, because most narcissists do. They know how to work the room, if you will. you don't know what their family's like. You don't know what traumas they have. You don't know any of that stuff until you've date 3, date 4, date 5, or even into a relationship. They can hide that shit very well. One thing that you find consistent is if you're dating people that are friends of friends of friends in friend groups, you can have a good outlook on who they are because they're open with their friends.
Yes. And also having friends.
Like that helps.
I know, but like for real.
I need some friends.
I'm taking applications for friends. Sometimes I meet people and like they have like 2 friends. I'm like, why don't you have more friends?
I'll be there for you.
That's right.
Yeah, 2 friends is not enough.
Well, it's like why?
Two close friends is good.
Yeah.
Like best friends, besties. Hey, but then you got to have like the lower, like you don't share as much with, but they're there for you. Yeah. And then you got associates and like who you associate with, not like working. Associates.
One of the biggest green flags for me in a woman is when she has a good friend group.
Okay.
That's like a orange flag.
Orange, yeah.
Still not sure where I sit on that, hey. But having a good friend group is a huge green flag. Because obviously friend groups are complex and dynamic things, but it shows that you're a good person. People want to hang out with you. They think you're cool, charismatic, trustworthy. If you don't have any friends, it's like, well, why doesn't anyone fuck with you?
Yes.
Right. So it's a huge green flag. It's also conducive to arguably what's the most important pillar of any successful relationship.
Green flag.
Green flags.
I can rainbow this shit too. So we seem like look at that.
Whoa. Let's go to the Bay Area.
Yeah. Venice Beach. Go suck some dicks. Chicks with dicks. What's up? What are you doing? Anyway.
What's up?
What's up, dude?
Hey, man. You got that dick.
How's it swinging? Yeah, no, it's wild. Have you ever had Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
Any good?
That's okay.
In-N-Out?
Yeah, In-N-Out's pretty good.
Yeah.
Just another burger.
I had Wingstop when I was in London. Very good.
Yep.
Very good. Overpriced as fuck.
Fred London or UK Nando's is really good.
No.
Ooh.
See, I'm in contention because my partner thinks that it's way better because you get peas. Like, what the fuck?
That's the most British thing ever.
It's everywhere sells peas. Like, you get peas with like Burger King.
I'm like, chips, cool. Peas?
Peas, yeah.
Okay.
But they do their chicken isn't as good as here. Like, I reckon our chicken's better. And it's way more overpriced.
Interesting.
That wasn't a cough.
Nice.
But but it is more of a non-takeaway. It's not a takeaway. It's like where you go and have a sit-down meal. Where over here it's a lot more like, let's go get a Nando's and come home and watch a movie.
Yep.
It's a lot more takeaway centric, but over there it's a lot more dine-in, eat out kind of centric. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, they have a lot of good food, actually.
Imagine sitting in a nice, Nando's restaurant in the UK.
Extremely high-paying job in
you put your
in the
phone
UK.
up, and then this 3D animated Japanese girls on there, and you're like, hey, just me and my AI girlfriend having a beautiful Nando's dinner.
She's sucking my AI dick.
She's...
Is it AI in yet?
The movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah.
See, that is where I'm worried this shit's going to go, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, like kind of circling back a bit, like this deep sense of loneliness, I think particularly a lot of men feel, can be fulfilled with those kinds of interactions.
Of course.
It's the basic tenets of human courtesy. Just being courteous and validating someone's feelings, really listening to someone, really being there, asking them how they're going. And with men in particular, allowing them to be vulnerable and emotional and not expecting them to be these brutes. An AI system is perfectly equipped for those kinds of conversations. And I can wait, but I'm excited to see how this is going to be commercialized. Because eventually it will become more normal. Like our great grandkids will probably come in and be like, hey, this is my wife. She's a robot. And we'll be like, what the fuck? And they'll be like, come on, Grandpa. Times have changed, man.
Do you think it'll be more like you create a personality of the person that you want in your life, and then they eventually, like through communication and exposure to the way that you think and the commands that you have, they'll then put that personality into a robot?
Oh, maybe.
And then that robot's like your robot and has a silicon pussy and like it doesn't rust out the crotch.
Nah.
Within 10 seconds, you're
Great
getting like rusty
engineering.
crotch. Yeah.
Silicon. Didn't think of that.
No.
I was going to go for like aluminium.
Dude, that would be rough as fuck.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
That's how I like it.
Oxidated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raw
And just
aluminium.
chafing.
That's it. Maybe the rust at the end, just at the very end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, I think obviously there's robotics technology that's pretty advanced.
Mm-hmm.
There's already sex robots that are pretty advanced. They're just illegal, but the Chinese, they got them. They built them. They're ready to roll. Once you install a personality in there,
Are they real fat?
no, obviously.
Are they
I mean, they're
not
like,
ready to roll.
No.
Well, unless they're in bubble
You're
wrap.
definitely about to be a dad. The dad jokes are just flowing. Oh my god.
I'm not a dad yet. They're just jokes.
That's right. Just practicing.
Yeah.
Just warming up. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be something that's going to become more normalized. And well, look, let's put it this way. I was really sick a couple of weeks ago. I had COVID. And then
Get the fuck out.
And then I had the flu, and then I had bronchitis. It was like 3 weeks of hell.
I got bronchitis.
I know, bro. I said to everyone, LeBron James, bronchitis. And obviously, I just did
Lord, it's a fire. I got bronchitis. You seen that shit?
Yeah, bronchitis.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So, what a classic, man.
She was awesome.
I did
I
a
went
deep dive.
downstairs to get a cold pop. Sorry.
You do that really well. I need to go watch that. It's been ages.
Yeah, it's good. Anyway, you did a deep dive.
I did a deep dive into some weird YouTube documentaries. And I watched this interesting documentary about...
Flat Earth.
Nah. I mean, we already know it's flat.
Yeah,
There's
true.
no
Yeah,
more to
that's a good
figure
point.
out.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Antarctica?
No.
Well, there you go.
Exactly.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And I was watching this really fascinating documentary about like dating and love and romance and such in Japan and South Korea.
Well, you're going balls deep in this shit, right?
Oh, yeah. I've been thinking about it a lot, I think, because I just had some really weird experiences. And I'm getting a bit older, and I'm like, it's that part of my life now where I'm not just out here just trying to fucking play the field and run the numbers up. I'm genuinely looking for something a bit more meaningful simply because that's all I have time for. But also, it just kind of came across my radar. And I have a degree in Asian political science, so I'm like inherently interested in this stuff. And what's fascinating is that you find there's a whole class of society there where their birth rate is declining rapidly. Firstly, because there's a focus on having a career. And often you can't have a very successful career if you're running a family, particularly in those countries, because having a career is like, I want to be the VP of Samsung by the time I'm 40 kind of vibe. And then as a result of that, what they were explaining in this documentary was that there's been this massive rise in men adopting AI girlfriends as their partners. And then I wasn't joking when I said sitting down at Nando's with your phone, and like you would see images of these men at a ramen cafe with their headphone in, and they're like typing and talking to a generative program just about their day and how they're feeling, etc. Now, that's a bit far away from us, but eventually that's going to make its way into the West. And I think what's scary is it gets us one step closer to AGI, the artificial general intelligence. Because now, with things like Sora, have you seen that? Mm-hmm. Right? Imagine if you put Sora, one of these AI chatbot lovers, and all the data possible in the world together. And then you have an AI that can see things and it can understand people. The biggest gap in the AI versus human output is the human's ability to understand other humans and how they feel. This is why, even though AI is really good at something like content creation, etc., you still need a person to vet it and be like, oh, I think that's going to suit our audience, or that's not going to suit our audience. But that's a dwindling job. Eventually, I think the data sets that we get from these AI romance bots are going to be used just to feed other programs that can then identify how we feel and create images and videos and rhetoric that taps deep into that amygdala response and can make you do anything. You put that in the hands of some kind of government and we're screwed.
Yeah, especially if they have the capabilities to program a 3D printer.
Yeah.
Like, we're all talking about robots and whatnot, but like, what if they had all the intelligence and a way to print themselves?
Yeah, no.
What would that look like?
Yeah.
It would be just giant ants just eating humans. And
Maybe.
do you ever hear about that? What was it? A bio-consuming robot. It was like it was a war cleanup robot, but it was fueled by decaying bodies.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was
That's the most Russian shit I've ever heard in my life.
I think it was China that created it.
Probably.
Yeah. Fucking scary.
Recycling.
Yeah, it's recycling, right? It's like, well,
it's good for the environment.
Yeah, but also I think it's like, what does that lead to? Have you ever heard the farming souls theory about aliens?
Tell me.
Okay, so there's an essence of life that needs to exist in order to see the progression of Darwinism, like evolution. There's a theory that it's based on the stoned ape theory as well, which is like we were chimpanzees, we found mushrooms, now we have fucking phones and we're eating McDonald's. But how you think about how we got to that stage and whether or not having the brain increase, it doubled in size over 100,000 years. Was that perpetrated by an exterior force? And if it was, why is it necessary for us to constantly have this engagement with progression? We constantly need the new thing. We constantly need to find the next thing. That we're always building something. As soon as we had the hammer, we had the drill. As soon as we had the drill, we had the gun. You know, like all these things that have just continued to excel and increase. It's gotten to the point where now they're starting to think that if that is true, if there is if the general thesis of that argument exists, what is the point of having humans still?
Yep. I mean, who was it that said this? That human beings are the biological bootloader for AI?
Yeah, I've heard that. I think Rogan said that.
I think so.
I think it's somebody on his...
I think it was Musk, maybe, as Elon.
Ooh, okay. He could have said it on Rogan.
I think he did say it on Rogan,
okay, right.
Profound. And I think you're right. First, on the meddling in the human species in our history, 100%, I believe that we have had contact with extraterrestrial species in our history, and that perhaps, again, after the nuclear weapons testing during the Second World War. In any event, historically, it would make sense for there to be some kind of contact. It would also make sense for us to have no evidence of it whatsoever, because things decay, and they are obviously, whoever they were, a very advanced species that can leave no sight.
But even in like ancient Egypt and Hindi scripture, there's tellings of an orb that arrived on Earth.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. I mean, we can put together a bit of a mosaic of similar stories across all major world religions that document similar events of something arriving. Some people think it's God. Some people think it's aliens. Others think it's, the reincarnation of the guy that just jumped into the well. But I think it's probably a more pressing question as to why we haven't observed anything like that in the modern day. I wonder if we have. And we're just so desensitized to things that we just write it off as not being true. Because there's so much noise out there of fake alien videos. But there's also some very convincing ones as well. And the government's flat out come out and said, yeah, we see UFOs sometimes. They're just unidentified flying objects. Whether they're alien, we don't know. We don't know where they're from or what they do. But there's some trends. Like, have you seen the one that it's almost like a triangular shape? Cuboid. And cuboid. What a fun name. Sounds like a Pokemon.
Yeah.
And
it is, actually.
Really?
Yeah. He's the bone face guy. Cuboid, yeah.
True that.
It's Cubone.
Yeah.
My bad.
They were onto it.
Yeah.
And it can move up and down, left and right, and go supersonic speed in like a second.
Yeah.
There's been documents of that particular craft for like 2 decades.
It's funny you say that. I was up in Onslow near Newman about a month and a half ago.
Nice.
I was having a chat, and it was dark out, and we were away from camp, and so we had no visible light exposure other than the stars, and they were fucking brilliant, dude.
Yeah.
And I was having a chat to the guy in front of me, and just for a split second, I was like, it feels like something's watching me, and I looked up, and there was this orange orb.
No way.
And then as soon as I noticed it noticing me, it flashed and it was gone.
True.
Like, but it looked like it had taken off. Like it was emitting some small amount of light.
Right.
And it was blue and it had an orange orb around it.
And it moved.
Yeah, and it moved
fast.
fast, dude.
Yeah.
Really fast.
Yeah. No
And
sound.
I haven't talked about this with anybody.
True.
I haven't told a single soul.
Right.
But there was no sound, but it felt like a magnetism. Like I had to look.
Yeah.
Like there was like a gravity to it. Like it wasn't like gravity, like it was pulling my body. It was pulling my attention in a way that like it wanted to be seen.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit. And then the following 3 nights, there were 3 orbs in the sky in a triangle.
Wow.
And they did not move. They stayed there all night. I got everyone to look at them. They can all confirm.
Really?
Yes.
What do you think it was?
I don't know.
Did it seem like it was engineered, or was it a bit something else?
It seemed like it. I don't want to say it didn't seem like of this world because that sounds ridiculous, but it's like no other technology I have seen. And the way it stayed stable, and there was a windy night, man. So normally there's like some kind of movement when there's like some serious wind, but those ones did not move. Like the 3, and they were really high up. They were way bigger than any star in the sky, but they weren't low to the ground.
Did you take any images or anything like that?
No, I think I did actually.
That's crazy.
There's only so much you can see though when there's.
I mean, and this is the thing. It's like, not from this world doesn't necessarily mean that it's not true.
Yeah.
And science has always been mistaken for magic.
It has.
Maybe an angel that we wrote about 2,000 years ago wasn't an angel, but just some kind of advanced tech. But we just simply couldn't comprehend it. Like if you were to even just take a phone to the dark ages, like the 1600s, you'd be killed for having a device like that because it would seem magic.
Anyway.
And I think that now that everyone is armed with phones that have cameras, etc., we're seeing a lot more of this kind of footage come out. And the change in tone from governments as well is really interesting. Again, might be a bit of a weird conspiracy, but I wonder if we're kind of being warmed up to a reveal that's planned by a collaboration of our world government, whatever that be, the Illuminati, etc., and these extraterrestrial beings. Because more people now believe aliens exist than ever before, and that's by design because the media is controlled.
Yes.
So there's an argument that the world government wants people to believe aliens are real, so that when they reveal them, it doesn't turn into this World War IV scenario.
Yes.
And people are kind of like, oh, like I knew it. What that means and how that manifests, I don't know, but I have a feeling that's part of it.
Yeah. Why would if aliens are real and extraterrestrial phenomena does actually come out to be the driving force of humanity and progression through the ages, right? Why would they talk to government leaders? Like, you know how America came out and said we have aircrafts not of this world? Did you see that? The
Yes.
New York Times
Yes.
came out and said that.
Yep.
Why would they talk to government officials?
Because-
Why wouldn't I would assume it would be Elon Musk that they would talk to.
Because the aliens are obviously much more smarter than us, and both they and the government know one thing, and that is if you reveal yourself to the general public, everyone's going to start killing each other. It's going to turn into war. It will turn into war. People are going to freak out. A place like the United States is a great example of a lot of people who have guns, and you're going to see people on the street rioting and shooting each other. Like, it's going to turn into death, which is why I think it's probably more pragmatic to go to a government than it is just to reveal yourself to the people. And it might also speak to the good intentions of these beings. Who knows?
Maybe, yeah, because if they are talking to government, the government is the people that can press the big red button, right?
Yeah.
They have the nuclear armed forces that can destroy the planet 7,000 times over.
Yeah.
That's the amount of nuclear weapons that are on the Earth right now. They have the capability to destroy the planet, blow it to smithereens 7,000 times over.
Yeah.
Which is like, what the fuck? So I probably would agree with you and say, yeah, they're probably going to talk to those motherfuckers first.
Because, I mean, like, look at, again...
They're like, just press the button.
That's it. Look at, again, like, January 6th, like, storming the Capitol. That was on the back end of a speech, let alone aliens arriving.
Yeah. What if, like, Donald Trump, like, just pulls the zipper and he's, like, 4 aliens on each other's shoulders?
He's a cuboid.
Yeah. Cuboid.
Maybe. If there's anybody that's an alien, it's Clinton. No.
He's Hillary or Bill?
Probably both, right?
Well, have you seen his decline?
No.
Here's a fucking crazy fact. He was president 20 years ago, and he is
Was
young. Yes, and he is younger
Yeah.
than both Donald Trump and Joe Biden currently.
Yeah.
What?
I know. When did we get here? These old bastards running the country.
Yeah. Well, they said that Clinton back in his day was like the John F. Kennedy. Like, everybody loved him, man.
Yeah.
Everybody. And it was only until the news cycle decided, oh, no, it's time for a new guy, then they decided to destroy his reputation. And, you know, he was a guy that liked to get his dick sucked. You know?
Yeah,
and
that's
so
right.
does every single fucking president.
And person.
Yes. And, well,
Wait till we see, you know...
maybe not female. Well, some.
you know, whatever the equivalent of that is. I don't know.
Yeah. What is a woman?
That's right. Why are you gay? Mister, should I call you Mister?
Who is gay? You are gay.
Yeah, I mean, like, when our generation are running for office, we're fucked.
Mm-hmm.
We have to decide whether or not we're going to still play this fucking game of like pulling up dirt on people, because if you can do that like Trump did this in 1978. For us, we're screwed. It's like, look at a Facebook post from 2009 when Marche was 12 years old, and he's like, fucking fuck this, fuck that, all these terrible words, like homophobic slurs, etc. What do you have to say for yourself, President-elect?
Tinder's fucked.
Yeah.
He said it on the Roadshow Podcast in 2024.
Yeah. We have to decide whether we're going to do that shit, because no one will qualify.
Yeah.
No one will qualify. You'll be able to find something on somebody. And also this whole blame game of someone just coming out of the woodworks. This person did this. And now, because networks need views, they mark it as true and then hold someone accountable to it, ask all these questions, even though it's just a random accusation from a random person.
Yeah. The problem with democracy and voting, and this is controversial, is it's one person against one person. It's talking heads, right? They go after the human rather than the ideas.
Yes.
And they espouse some bullshit about what they're going to do in their term, and the overthrowing of certain acts and bills that have been disruptive to the society in the past 4 to 8 years.
Totally. Yeah.
But none of that happens. And then it just seems like it's a popularity contest to see who controls fucking everything. You're like, what is this? And
What is this?
What is this?
Why?
Dave Smith, he looks at like socio-geographical indications of war. He was on the Joe Rogan Experience recently, and he said the only reason as to why American might fail against a rhetoric like China or Russia is because they run on a 4-year term of government, where these dictatorships have been run by the same family for hundreds of years. So they're playing the long game, you know. And while the country's divided by blue or red, the other country is completely red, and it has been that way for God knows how long, and they know what they're doing and the disruption that they're causing to the exterior of a country that has just completely disillusioned by its own fables.
Yes. Well said. The American people, and to some extent as well, the Australian people, are too concerned about how they feel and what they want rather than what's best for the nation and their community.
Yeah.
I think probably the most poignant example of this is the recent referendum on the Aboriginal voice to Parliament. Like, the fact that became such a highly politicized discussion to me was so disappointing. Like, that's one area of things where I think this country needs the most work. And it always disappoints me to see the plight of the Aboriginal and First Nations people become such a hot political topic during election season. And then as soon as the party is elected, whether it is Labor or Liberal, they just forget. And they just kick the can down the road, and it's not a priority right now because we have a cost of living crisis, etc.
Yeah.
And then Aboriginal people continue to be disenfranchised, and they continue to be fucked around by the government system. Well, perhaps the best thing for the country and the best thing for the community is to help those who are disenfranchised and mobilize a nation to fight the threat of communism from powers like Russia and China.
Yes.
Instead of squabbling about it during election season and then forgetting about it later.
Yeah, well, that's an issue, right? Like, I don't know if you know, I found out I'm Aboriginal.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much?
I'm fourth generation. So my great-great-grandmother was a slave, and then her slave owner at the big house, raped her. So my line of family comes from that.
Yeah.
Which is, terrible, but I'm glad I exist, which is kind of fucked up.
I know what you mean.
And only recently have I really, really paid attention to the political, economic structure that benefits the Aboriginal communities, and it is nothing. There is it's like you said, as soon as they'll talk about it because it's one of the hot topics that gets a lot of opinions looking their way, and the people's opinions being like, yeah, well, that's great, that's not, whatever the fuck it is. They tried last year to give the voice to the Aboriginals, and the majority was like, no. Like, what? Do you remember that, right? They had the vote.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the referendum. Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
What the fuck? Here's one thing that really fucking grinds my gears about, how like in America they have Black History Month? Well, they have Gay Pride Month. It's the same amount of time.
What month is it?
It's the month after. I think it's March.
Really?
Yeah. It's the
Is that like a national thing now?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's probably
Pride
just the
Month.
West Coast.
No, they have it in New York as well.
Jeez.
It's all over, right?
Yeah, okay, interesting. But I know Black History Month is like a mandated thing.
Yeah.
There's like holidays.
No gay man is, well, there's probably some gay men that are slaves, but
Voluntarily.
They have, voluntarily. They haven't had the same disenfranchised time period, the history of going through slavery for 400 years.
Such a different issue.
Yeah, but here's the thing. In Australia, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. Australia Day falls on Genocide Day.
Yes.
They're not willing to change the day, let alone give us a fucking month to celebrate it.
Yeah, or a voice to Parliament that has no lawmaking capabilities and is simply there as a representative body.
Just a nudge. Hey, man, don't forget us.
Hey, by the way, that policy, it actually might result in something that's not very good for our community, so can you just please factor that in? That's what the voice for Parliament was for. And it just sickens me that, again, it became so politicized because then we started unpacking it and tearing it apart. And, I mean, look, it's not like it was a perfect solution, but any step towards reconciliation is a step worth taking,
yes,
in my opinion. And I spent a lot of time in the USA. Obviously, I have family there. My father's African-American.
Well, you were born there, right?
I was actually born here.
You were born here?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, my dad's black. My whole family on his side is black. So racism is a very real thing for me, something I've experienced personally and something I've observed a lot of, and I can see the results of. In the USA, there's still a lot of issues to do with race, but Australia is where the USA was in like the 1940s in terms of its treatment of its First Nation people. I still to this day hear people who are my age group, relatively educated, express some things about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that just make me go, what the fuck? Why do you think that way? And there's a lot of deeply seated, codified racism in this country because it was an attempted genocide, January 26th.
Yeah.
Whereas in the USA, it wasn't actually a genocide. In fact, they were like, this is actually a great economic system. Slavery is great.
Yeah.
We are getting so much out of these people. Let's keep them coming. Here, it was like, let's get rid of them.
Yeah.
And
they were part of the Flora and Fauna Act. You could shoot them on sight.
do you know that was until like the late 60s, early 70s?
Yeah, 1968.
And it's like, how could you possibly expect them to turn around and integrate into society in such a finite amount of time?
They had to have a permit to enter a city.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Like, what they're human beings.
The thing is, man, it's like Australia's economy is supported primarily from the resources sector, and most of our resources come from our land. And I have no place to say this. I don't really understand the specific needs of these people, but if there's one thing that I have observed, and I've been told from many friends of mine who are Aboriginal, is that ultimately the vast majority of them want to just go back out onto their land.
Yes.
Like, they are so deeply connected to their land. It's a part of their spiritual history, and we took that from them and won't let them out on the land. We'd rather build a remote community with like fences and a playground and like a little sea container with a toilet so we can control and monitor and keep them there than let them walk about.
Yeah.
I think we got to let them walk about. Oh, and if they're settled on a place where you want to dig some holes and sell some ore to China BHP, fucking pay them or fucking move on.
Move on.
Go somewhere else. There is not enough of them to consume such a vast area of land where it would be negatively impactful to the resources industry.
Yeah.
It might mean a bit more costs moving things around, but it's not going to kill our economy.
Yeah.
But what it will do is fulfill a deeply seated need for these people, which is let them back on their land.
Or how about, if you're going to dig there, get permission.
Yeah.
And if they're okay with it, supply them housing, supply them water, supply them the things that they might go without for fucking weeks.
Yeah.
Supply them food, give them fucking money, give them opportunity, give them a job.
Yeah.
You know, allow them to be them. Let them have the choice.
Yes.
You know, I'm a part of that. I'm a part of the Wadandi tribe from Margaret River. And a lot of like tourists and stuff took a lot of their land as well, right?
Yeah, I bet.
That's it is what it is. I mean, like, without that, what would we have? We'd have, I wouldn't be here, right? If it wasn't for it, I wouldn't be here. And I'm glad for the white side of my family. I'm glad for the Aboriginal side of my family.
Absolutely.
You know, and you have to be proud of what you are now.
Yes.
But shall we continue the socio-economic degradation, rather? I'm stumbling my words there. I didn't sleep good last night.
Yeah, same.
Pregnant misses, you know what it is.
Not yet.
yeah. Maybe.
Oh, brother.
Those dates, bro. Those 190s. Anyway, if you don't,
Let's get those numbers.
you gotta find that mythical box again.
Super like.
Tinder box.
That makes me sound so fucking stupid.
Don't buy it.
My problem is not being like I'm actually fucking low-key killing it out here, but you know I don't want to say that on live.
No. Say it.
I ain't gonna say that shit.
If you gonna kill it, bro, you're killing
Hey,
it, dude.
look, it's going well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your dick's just dripping constantly.
It's just like as I get older, the easier it gets.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, they get looser.
And just
I don't mean
way
women.
more interested.
Yeah.
Oh, not women. I mean, our values.
Probably being half black too. They're like, he's swinging. You know?
Ha ha ha. I'm short though, so who knows?
Hey, I've seen some short dudes with some fucking kickstands. You know what I'm saying?
Tripods.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
back to it. I can't remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, no, I can't. Just try not to keep people down. I think that's what you want for yourself and what you want for everybody else, right? Because like, I used to be a fucking like serial jealous motherfucker.
Right.
But would I had to really ponder on this for a while. It wasn't a control thing. It was because I wasn't willing to let go of my perceptions on things. And as soon as I did, I felt so much lighter.
Yeah.
You know, because I started thinking, is this how I want to be treated?
Yeah.
No. Well, then why do it to others?
Yeah.
So,
And I think you'll find most people who you might be afraid of on the street just appreciate a conversation or appreciate an acknowledgement or appreciate a little bit of help. Whether it's you don't have money, direction somewhere. Take 5 minutes, go into the freaking corner store, get them a bottle of water. Like that, they're not going to fucking stab you and kill you. And I wonder if a lot of that comes from our American influence in the media.
Yeah.
We think these people are cracked out of their minds and they're strapped up with 9mm. No, it's fucking St. George's Terrace. This guy's like sleeping in a rag on the side and he's calling out, asking for a bit of help. I'm not saying if you don't do it, you're a dickhead, but it's like the fear mongering and then the narcissism on top of it of being like, well, look at this, like, just get on Centrelink. Look at this amazing clean city we live in. Why don't you just get a job? None of that is possible for people who are in these places. And, you know, to go back to the issue we were talking about, the vast majority of these people are indigenous population, right? They're Aboriginal people, right? So they have a different need set than like Mark, who maybe just did a bit too much coke when he was in high school, and then it set a bit of a weird pattern of behavior for him, and then
Fucking Mark.
he ends up fucking, you know, fucking, you know. That's different to someone who's like, yeah, my entire family have been historically disenfranchised and we've never had access to education or anything that will allow me to kind of escape this poverty hole we're in.
Yeah.
And now some guy's walking along being like, mate, it's fucking Australia. Just
Get a
get
job.
Centrelink, bro.
Get a job, mate. Yeah, I hate that get a job
My
stuff.
granddad was poor too, bro.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like, motherfucker,
Yeah.
some people can't even afford boots. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are you talking about?
It's sad. What we do about it is just invest more into services that assist them. You know, we can't change the system. As much as I have this dream of kind of just, you know, opening the gates and letting everyone wander around, it's not going to happen. But I think Australian people need to be a lot more compassionate and a lot more aware that this is an issue that is not even close to being fixed and is still very much on the way to being resolved. A lot of people think it's all done. Oh, they have money now. It's not that simple. It's such a straw man way of looking at things. And compassion and just being aware is really, really, really good. But the referendum did not leave a good taste in my mouth.
Me neither.
About people's perceptions of this stuff and how easy it is to convince them otherwise that it's a bad idea. The problem is also, you know, they would have elders on TV saying, "Don't vote for it." And I think, you know, I can imagine if you're a white Australian, you're already like, I don't really know what the issue is. I don't understand what a voice to parliament is. And it's such a hot topic. I'm looking at TV. There's an Aboriginal elder on television telling me not to vote for it.
How much probably they paid those fuckers? You know, like...
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely an agenda involved.
Of course, right? But it could also be blindsiding as well. They could have done that stuff to hide something else. Like they passed... You know, okay. One thing that fucks me up, and it's on this Punters Politics thing, so check that guy out.
Will do.
He said that Santos,
DeSantos?
No, not DeSantos. Santos gas manufacturers.
Of course.
So they charge us higher than anywhere else in the world for our gas.
Right.
It gets made here.
Yeah. Makes sense.
They're literally... We should have it free.
Yeah.
Like, it's a main line. And they're not paying the government to pull that out of the ground. They get that free. They're literally just they're raking in the dollars. Which is,
and we don't tax them anything.
We don't tax them. Fuck, I'm pretty sure, like in the last 2 years, they paid $0 in tax. Like, literally zero. And they made like $48 billion. Yeah. Which is like, what the
And then they fucking sell it back to us.
And then they sell it back to us, but... And they give us like government rebates.
Yeah.
Of like $200. But then where does that money go? That goes back to the gas guys. It goes on your bill. It's a government rebate. They gave you $200, but it's just going straight back to the gas guy.
Exactly right. You're paying the fucking bill.
Yeah.
Right? Just fulfilling, the duty. And what the problem is then they will sponsor political parties and they will sponsor MPs. And then those MPs say, no, let's not tax these guys because their back pockets are being filled. I guess this is just
Nancy Pelosi, but in Australia, right?
Yeah, man. This is just kind of just it is the it is what it is in a way. Like, we know politicians are greedy because they're human beings, and we know they'll probably pursue their self-interest over the interests of their constituents because they're human beings, and that's like an inherent fight or flight response.
Yes.
That everyone experiences. The problem with Australia is people do not want to make themselves aware. We have it too easy here. Like, obviously, there's a lot of problems, but you can just fucking go up to the mines, make $120K a year. Cleaning, bro. Admin, maintenance, like fuck drilling, right? You come home, trains are good, water's pretty good, Uber Eats is cranking. I'm just gonna chill. I'm not gonna actually think about, what's the policies here? What's the ins and outs of the carbon tax? Is that necessary?
Yeah.
Whereas in America, it's like those issues are so prevalent that if they don't manifest, people get fucked.
Yeah.
So they make themselves aware. And I think, Aussies we get taken for a ride because there's just enough in the kettle to go around for now.
I'm starting to lean towards third world country living.
Dude, I just had my first Bali trip.
Oh, how was it?
Never been to Bali in my life.
Amazing, right?
It was amazing. I was very spoilt, though. Like, I went with Quincy for a show he was playing there. So, we got put up in a good hotel. We were staying at this awesome beach club. But one of the best things about it is just meeting other people. It almost makes you feel more real when you meet someone. Like, I met this chick from, this couple, this guy and this girl from Macedonia, and I had the most incredible conversations with them, and we related on so many levels, and we knew so much of the same stuff and liked the same things. And it was just one of those conversations where I was like, this is why you need to get out into the world and do things. And countries like Bali or Thailand are great hubs, I think, of other people.
Yeah.
And obviously their own inherent culture is so much better than ours.
They're just happy people, man.
Yeah, they're chilling.
Very happy people. But I think it's probably because they don't have the exposure to the crazy bullshit the main Western countries have.
Yeah. Yeah, we're spoilt.
Yes, but maybe there's like you know how like when you eat shit, you feel shit?
Yes.
Information's like food.
Exactly right.
If you're constantly just eating shit with your brain, you're just going to feel terrible, man.
And you are what you eat.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
if you're consuming a particular line of information, you're going to think that way. You need to open yourselves up to different kinds of perspectives on the issue that you're meddling about.
Yeah, 100%. Should we wrap this shit up?
Let's do it, brother.
All right, man.
This was good.
Yeah, this was fun, dude.
Yeah.
I haven't had an economics one in a while, so that was kind of cool. It was really nice to talk to you again, bro.
Yeah, man.
We'll do it again.
I love what you're doing here. Yeah, we'll do round 3 sometime.
Yeah.
Another 18 months.
No, fuck that. We'll do it sooner than that.
Sounds
fuck
good.
Yeah. Actually,
You can do 2 guests at once, right?
I can do 3. I've got another one that I can put here and move it
I'll
along.
jump on with
Bring Sheldon.
with someone. Yeah, we'll have Sheldon or even Quincy or something like that again.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Me and Quincy will do. When that guy and I lock in, it's dangerous.
I can set up DJ decks and stuff if he wants to do a live.
Oh, that'd be
performance
cool.
too. Yeah.
I'm sure he'd do something. Maybe he's got a song coming out.
Yes. Sounds good.
Sweet, bro. Thank you.
Take me home, I wanna know.